Hello everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tails Crafts, and today I have another video tutorial featuring our new Spring Wreath die set, along with some new hot foil. I'm going to be using the A2 framed butterflies hot foil and the thin lined butterfly hot foil. Both of these do come with dies, so I'll also be using the coordinating dies to cut those out. And today's video is a part of a inspiration hop, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. First, we're going to paper piece this ginormous wreath, and you saw in the die set there that you get the wreath itself, all of the leaves and flowers separate, and then also a shadow die, because I felt like it would be almost impossible to hand cut around all these teeny tiny little leaves and florals. Here I'm just adding a heavyweight white die cut behind my lighter weight green. And it looks like I did a lot of die cutting, but that's just because I die cut enough to create two wreaths. I'm just going to show you how I did one of them. And this piece, because it's so large, it does take quite a while to fully paper piece. Now, I decided to go with all the detail and include even the tiny little green branches onto this wreath, but you can just stick the flowers down and maybe a couple leaves and call it done. But you know, as the designer of this die, I really wanted to see it come to life, and I personally really enjoy paper piecing, so to me this was a very therapeutic process. And something I don't normally do is add dimension to my die cuts, just because I feel like I already add so many colors and small elements to my die cutting. I don't feel that I necessarily need any extra dimension, but I am always inspired by people I see on Instagram and also my design team. And several of my design team members do add Copic shading to their finished die cuts. So I thought, I'm going to try that. If I don't like it, I don't have to do it again. But I actually really liked the shading, and I definitely thought it was worth a little bit of extra time. And I only used one marker per color on my wreath. And that's just because I have already cut the elements from colored cardstock, so there's no need to do a whole lot of blending. You can see that I cut the roses on the wreath from orange and yellow cardstock, these tiny flowers from purple and pink, and then there's some even smaller flowers that I cut from a light blue cardstock, and then some of the branches and the leaves I die cut from a darker green cardstock. So now that I'm adding all of these layers, there's really not much showing from the original light green base that I cut, other than those slightly longer leaves. But here's what I mean when I say you don't have to go all out on this wreath. You can really just add the roses and it would still be very pretty. So here I am pulling in my Copic markers, just one marker per element. And I'm simply adding color. I'm not thinking too much about where the darker color would be, just because it's just there to add a bit of interest. And as I do this, I want to talk about the inspiration hop today. So the Scrappy Tails design team members and I are putting together a hop that showcases the new Heartfelt Wings collection. So I am mainly focusing on the spring wreath, but every designer is going to be featuring at least one product from the new release. And I am giving away two $25 gift cards to two lucky winners, and all you have to do is comment on as many videos and blogs as you can. The more you comment, the more likely you are to win. Also, please be sure to comment and like all the videos and blogs you see. This helps our designers get seen on YouTube and on Google. And if you see a particular card that you really like, that inspires you, I encourage you to use the designer's affiliate links. This is a great way for them to earn commission off of their beautiful projects. They do spend a lot of time not only working on the cards that are shown in the hop, but also the video editing and the blog posting. So yeah. Anyway, we're going to hot foil now. I haven't hot foiled in a while, but I'm going to pull out several colors. And so here I have this pink, and then for the A2 frame butterflies, I placed a large piece of gold. And because I am not cutting apart the butterflies from this frame, I have to give it a good while to heat up. It's also a good idea maybe to add 2 sheets of cardstock to add extra pressure. But I didn't really have any problem foiling with either set. There was one foil I had. It was like a different type of foil that was blue with glimmer in it, or like big chunks of glitter. And for some reason, that just did not hot foil. Every other metallic foil I had did just fine. So I'm not really sure if it's the foil that's the problem. I assume it is because, as you can see, all these other ones foiled just fine. And again, with these larger plates, if you don't want to cut apart the butterflies on it, just let it heat for a good minute or so. But here, I just did a lot of foiling because for me, I have to be in the mood to foil. So when I am, I just decide to foil as much as I can so that I am prepared for future cards and I don't have to pull that machine out again. So now I'm going to work back to the wreath, and I wanted to have a yellow background for it, so I have mustard seed and squeezed lemonade that I am blending onto a square light yellow panel here. I at first thought I wanted this to be my background panel for the card. I am creating a square card here, but I felt like it was just too much yellow. And then I wanted to use those frames that are included in the A2 framed hot foil plates. But as you can see, it's an A2 frame. So I went ahead and foiled 2 of them, and I'm going to selectively cut off the ends and overlap them in the middle to create a square frame instead. And the wreath is so large that it pretty much covers those seams where the 2 pieces meet. So here's where I thought it was too much yellow, so instead I'm just going to use the coordinating die for the wreath to cut out the yellow, and that's just going to add the yellow only to the center of the wreath, and then the background will be white instead. So this thank you is from our Thank You Butterfly die set. This includes the thank you shadow die, the actual word, and a beautiful little butterfly that has a coordinating stencil with it to color it in. And I am going to use those butterflies in my next video, so stay tuned for that. So because this wreath had 1 layer of white die cuts behind, I had to raise up this thank you. So I'm adding 2 white die cuts behind the one that I added across the wreath. I guess I added 3, and then off camera I added another spring wreath white die cut because I really wanted this to pop off my card. This is a flat card, so whenever I'm creating a flat design, I typically like to pop up my main focal point. But I'm pretty happy with how this looks, so I'll go ahead and glue it onto the yellow base. And this is the other wreath that I created off camera. Instead of the orange and yellow roses, I went with pink and red. And then I cut the actual thank you word from gold glitter cardstock. And I thought that this was really pretty. It was just a subtle bit of gold, which coordinated with the gold that's on the hot foiling. So now I have my white panel. This is cut to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, which is actually going to be the size of my card base. And I think this wreath, this frame is super pretty. And then I'm just going to add that wreath right to the center. I'm adding ATG tape across the middle part of the wreath, and then on the little branches I'm going to add some glue. And then all I have to do is add this to my card base. Oh, actually, I do embellish the centers of those tiny flowers with some orange and yellow gems. And this is a new mix in the shop. And I do get questions asking how many sizes are in the mixes. There's typically 3 of each color, and sometimes we mix multiple colors. That particular mix had orange, green, and yellow, and from it I just used the orange and yellow. So that is the finished card. Now we're gonna move on to a pop-up, because you guys know I really have to try to create a pop-up if I can. And it actually was kind of challenging with this large wreath. It is an A7 sized wreath. So the only pop-up I thought that could work is this A7 pop-up staircase. I cut the base twice from light blue cardstock, and I'm going to add a little bit of shading with my Broken China Distress Oxide ink. This is just going to add a little bit of interest, probably not needed in the grand scheme of things. This card is super busy, so I don't know if this really added to it, but it does look pretty. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other base piece over to the left, and here I'm just reinforcing the score lines on the staircase. And then we're going to glue them together. So I'm adding glue to the bottom strip of one of the staircases, and then I'll take the other one and just glue it on top. And then you do the same thing with the actual steps on the staircase. Choose a side that you want to add glue to, and then overlap the other staircase on top to fully attach these 2 pieces together. And if you want a full video tutorial on these staircases, I have a slimline version too. I will link to a video. All right, then I just have that one last piece at the bottom. And the way that this pop-up folds is by going upwards, which I'll show later. So here I wanted a pink background, but I did not want that much pink showing. So I thought what could be fun is to use the coordinating die from the spring wreath, add it to the top of this pink A7 panel. So this is 5x7, I think. And I'm just going to cut it about halfway down. I didn't want to cut the whole thing out, because I did want this to be the background. So I'm partially die cutting. So here you can see I went about halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way down. And then I just took my scissors and clipped off those pieces so that the wreath was at the top of my card as opposed to that sharp pink rectangle. I wanted to add something to this staircase, so I took a sentiment from our Spread Your Wings stamp set. I stamped it out with Versamark ink, and I'm going to white heat emboss it. I believe this says, "Thank you for all you do, mother-in-law." I'm not totally sure. And then, so now I'm going to glue my wreath to the pink part of my base. And this wreath, I just kept the one white die cut behind it because I don't want this card to be too top heavy. Otherwise, it's going to fall forward instead of stand upright. And I just love that that coordinating die cuts out all those branches and everything lines up nicely. On the sides of this pink piece, I'm going to add my leftover hot foil frames that I cut off previously. I thought, again, why not add a little touch of gold? And then I'll glue my staircase to the bottom part. And then again, I'm going to go with that thank you die cut. I didn't use the shadow this time, just the words. I did stack up the word dies 3 times with heavyweight white cardstock so that it was the same dimension as the wreath. And then I added the bottom part of the hot foil frame to this actual staircase so that it continues down. And then here's my hot foil butterflies. I just chose a few small ones to go on the actual wreath, and then I'm going to pop a few of them up using the little pop-up sticks that are included in the A7 pop-up staircase. So you can see that there is a piece that has a slit in the middle. That's where you're going to slide your stick and glue it at the bottom of the base. Then you'll glue the base to whatever staircase you want. And then you'll glue your butterfly to the stick. Again, if you want a full video tutorial on this pop-up, definitely check out my more comprehensive video. Alright, so I'm going to create another one of these and put it on the second step on the left for this larger pink butterfly. So I did not end up using those thin-lined butterflies, they were slightly too big. So these ones are from the A2 framed hot foil set. So I'm going to create one more little stand. And this one I think I trimmed down a bit because this butterfly is smaller. And then I probably should have stopped here, but I had all these leftover flowers from the spring wreath, so I decided to just add them to the bottom next to the sentiment. It kind of tied in the top to the bottom, but this card is definitely busy. I still think it's very pretty though. And then I'll just do this right corner, and that pretty much finishes off this card. So I hope you all enjoy today's inspiration hop. And remember, if you like any of the cards that you see along the hop, please subscribe to their blogs or their YouTube channel, and also use their affiliate links. Alright, so here's how the card folds flat, and I'll actually put it in the envelope so you can see this is an A7 card. And then when you take it out of the envelope, it just folds down and it stands upright, which is really cute. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you haven't yet already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video tutorial. Bye!